Channel 5 News host Dan Walker used to work closely with Gary Lineker when he was part of the BBC team. Earlier this year, Gary was suspended from Match of the Day over an impartiality row about comments he made criticizing the Conservative government's new asylum policy. The 62-year-old former footballer was eventually reinstated in the wake of a huge backlash. Now the dust has settled, Dan has spoken out about Gary's suspension and thrown his support towards him. "I know Gary well, and I've always thought that the audience is clever enough to see the difference between the guy who sits on Match of the Day and the opinions that he has on social media," Dan told the Mirror. British soap awards stars burst into laughter over EastEnders' blunder, and "I think if you feel that you can't watch Match of the Day because you disagree with his political stance, I think that says a lot more about you than it does about him." Dan said he was glad the situation was sorted out and claimed there was a big overreaction to the story. "You think, why didn't you just deal with it like this before it snowballed into this? BBC Breakfast viewers fume. Standards are slipping over local news blunder don't miss." Dan Walker says I don't miss the BBC as he claims it needs to change. Update: Dan Walker details privilege of former BBC Breakfast troll. Insight: Dan Walker reacts as viewer spots strange issue on Channel 5 News. Latest: defending Gary further, Dan said, "I think Gary never had a news contract and he always said that. And there is a difference there. Everybody in presenting has those conversations with their bosses at some stage about where that line is and trying not to cross it." Gary has been hosting Match of the Day for almost a quarter of a century. The tweet which caused him to be suspended from the show was linked to Home Secretary Suella Braverman's plans to stop migrants crossing the channel on small boats. The politician said in a video the UK is being overwhelmed with migrants, which prompted Gary to say, "There is no huge influx. We take far fewer refugees than other major European countries. This is just an immeasurably cruel policy directed at the most vulnerable people in language that is not dissimilar to that used by Germany in the 30s, and I'm out of order." Gary vowed to continue speaking up for the voiceless in a follow-up tweet. 5 News at 5 airs on weekdays on Channel 5.